When I first came into the game, everyone was talking about DCA, dollar cost average. Even when I came into the stock market, I heard about DCA, dollar cost average. I want to kind of break down a few things because I think, especially as a new person to crypto, even if you've been in the game for a while, you need to understand what DCA has, some of the advantages that it has to offer, and some of the disadvantages, because I think it's not explored enough. And we kind of just say, oh, just DCA, and you just blindly do it, and you don't understand that there's another way to look at things. So we're going to examine time in the market versus a DCA dollar cost average. To be sure, the DCA strategy is similar it's a similar routine to a 401k. The way that it's laid out gives you the ability to schedule a designated amount of cash to be invested consistently over a certain period of time. Now, some of the pros to a DCA is you get to maximize your ability to pay less over time. It truly takes all the emotion out of investing. It's a simple strategy. It's kind of like basically set it and forget it. It doesn't require much input. It allows you to be consistent. On a consistent basis, you're going to be able to apply a certain amount of money over a period of time. It also reduces your overall exposure to the market. So as you ride up and down and we ride the waves of volatility in the stock market or even the crypto market in particular, it does reduce your overall exposure to the market. You're not trying to time the market where you may think that a certain crypto at $30 is a pretty good buy, and you put $5,000 in there. And then the next thing you know, it drops down to 15 and it stays there for the next 6 months. But you put a large chunk there. So because you put that large amount there, you've overexposed yourself to the market at that price. Instead of you being in a situation where you've dollar cost average, you've actually added a little bit over the same amount of time. If you had taken that $3,000 or $5,000 and you broke it up into like maybe 6 payments, you would have been able to have an average of maybe $22 versus $30. So that's what dollar cost average does for you. It does reduce your overall exposure, and it brings down your average. So instead of, like I just mentioned, $30, you're going to get in at 22 instead of 30, however the scenario is for you. Now, the cons to you having a DCA strategy is something that we don't talk about. We just want to talk about the positives because there are a lot of positives. It actually seems to be more positives than negatives, but let's explore that. Let's unpack that a little bit more. The cons to a DCA is that you're going to devote a lot of time towards picking the proper DCA opportunities. You have to put some time in there. There's bad research means that you will make bad investments with the DCA strategy. And what I've seen, and I've done it myself, and I've actually seen other people do it as well, they'll have an asset, they'll have a crypto, a coin, a stock, and because they've been investing in it over time, as it gets lower, they're figuring, oh, I'm buying it at a lower price, so therefore my average is going to be low. My average cost of this stock is going to be low. But if you look at the whole range, you look at the scale of things, you will see that you've been losing. It's actually like what we say in the industry, you're catching a falling knife. You're losing out. Even though you're paying less for it, this stock has not been trending well, or this crypto hasn't been trending well, and you'll stick there, or you'll just like we say, you set it and you forget it, because that's what the DCA strategy, that's what it has. It keeps you in that mentality where you kind of just set it and forget it, and you'll forget that you have a position that's failing and you're losing money on it, and you're continuously starting to put money into a losing strategy. So that's one of the cons of two of the cons of having a DCA strategy with that set it and forget it. It is an extremely passive approach to investing. So it's not aggressive. And because of that, you may miss out on higher returns over the long term. And it's not a solution to other investing risk. And what I mean by that, I'll give you an example. The FPA, which is the Financial Planning Association, and Vanguard, we all know who Vanguard is, has found that over long term, dollar cost averaging can underperform lump sum investing. Therefore, if you have a large sum of money, you're generally better off investing it as soon as possible and not really worrying about trying to time the bottom or the top, or either trying to DCA so you can dollar cost average and kind of find a happy medium between the up and the lower. Beginning to invest and you only have smaller amounts of money to buy shares, that's when a DCA is going to work for you. If you're just coming in, you say, hey, I have to buy fractionally, fraction of a Bitcoin, I have to buy a fraction of Apple stock. That's a good time for you to start to invest into a DCA strategy. That's the best time to have a DCA strategy. If you're not interested in doing all the research that goes along with market timing, DCA strategy is for you as well. There is some research involved, but not nearly as much as research when you decide you're going to put 5 or 10K on one particular asset class. Another thing is too, making regular investments each month in retirement accounts like an IRA or 401k. The DCA is very familiar. It's something that we've all gotten used to. If you work at a job and you have a 401k, you're used to having a certain amount of money come out of your check every single month, and it automatically gets invested for you. You don't have to worry about it, and you know that there's some money being invested for the future. And that's what DCA does for you if you're kind of new. And this is for a lot. I think this concept of this strategy works very well for anyone. And I think that you can use this strategy along with other strategies. But if you actually want to win, this may not be the strategy for you if you want to win big. Like, for instance, in crypto, people that invested in Dogecoin and some of those meme coins, they did so with lump sums of money. Most of the millionaires and the people you've seen that came out of that episode, that came out with being millionaires or made a crazy return, those people did lump sum. You have some people that DCA'd over time, but most of those people dropped $5,000 or $6,000 years ago, and they let it sit there, and that turned into millions of dollars. That's what you're going to get if, in fact, you do not follow a DCA strategy and you just take a lump sum and you invest. Those are the kind of returns you can look to have. Now, with a DCA strategy, this is going to come along a lot slower. You will get returns, and if you happen to just time it right, sometimes it happens, you'll get the returns a lot quicker. But most of the time with a DCA strategy, you're riding the waves of volatility, and you're going to still invest in that particular stock or crypto. You're going to continue to invest in that for the long term. No matter what happens, you'll keep investing in that. You may even neglect to check to see if this thing is actually performing according to your goals. It may not be. And that's one of the detriments to actually doing a DCA, is that you actually forget about it and it doesn't seem like it's important anymore, and you'll be losing money. And that means that your head is not in the game, and then you're not actually formulating new strategies in order for you to win. So that's something that you want to think about with DCA without going so long about DCA, because we're not taught that enough. We're kind of just saying, oh, just DCA. And there are times that we actually DCA and we're not winning. We're catching that falling knife. It keeps dropping, and we just keep putting more and more money into it, and we're not going to be able to win that way. That's pretty much it for right now. Like always, DYOR, this is not investment advice, but invest wisely. Before I forget, like and subscribe. If you found this information useful, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, drop a comment. Let us know what we could have done better.